Hi guys, this is Hiro. How's everyone doing today? Aja bala kem cho? Aaj sab kaise ho? So today I have brought back the whiteboard. Okay, this is a very important and possibly controversial video that I'm going to make because I know how attached a lot of you guys are to your coffee and tea. Okay. Also, one other minor note. Because I moved this whiteboard, I was too busy figuring out how to fit this in the back of my car. I forgot my green stick. Okay, but luckily, no matter whose house you go to, if they're Gujarati, you're gonna have dandiya. Okay, or most will. So I'm gonna use this as my stick today. I may bring back the green one. I may decide to stick with this one. We'll see. So today I'm gonna be discussing how to stop coffee, soda, or any stimulating drink, or even if you're not, even if you don't want to stop, like let's just say, some teas are good and stuff like that. At least just start a conversation or discussion, kind of making you aware of any stimulating drinks that you might have in your life. Okay. Now, I did make a previous video on alcohol. Okay. I kind of threw that in with my drugs video, stopping drugs. I felt like alcohol was more of a drug than a stimulating drink. I know coffee and soda, it has caffeine, which is a drug, but I put that more in the category of stimulating drinks than drugs. Okay, so that's why they're going in this video. Now, what is the main reason to stop any stimulating drink, first of all? Okay. Well, and it's because it's a depression band-aid. Okay, I'm not really going in these points in any sort of order. Okay, I kind of just quickly jotted these down. So they kind of say, and by they I mean me, alcohol is kind of like a anxiety band-aid, and coffee is like a depression band-aid. Okay, any stimulating, as you guys know, alcohol might, it kind of turns off your anxiety for a little while, right? Any stimulating drink like coffee or soda, it's any kind of sort of depression you have, it's kind of going to put a band-aid over that, right? And it feels real good when you put a band-aid over anything, right? It's a temporary fix. Who doesn't like temporary fixes? But the problem with temporary fixes is that subconsciously they add up and spiritually they take a toll on us. So if you have any sort of spiritual inclinations or goals, like probably some of you guys do that are watching my channel, I'll try to avoid these as much as possible, okay? Or at least do them in moderation. And I'm not going to discuss more. And I know coffee, stimulating drinks in general, culturally, they represent a different importance in the East, like India, versus the West, like the United States. Okay, so I'm kind of going to discuss the differences there too. The one thing I will say, first of all, is definitely stop any processed or hybridized stimulating drinks. Okay, what is entailed of this? Okay. So that includes definitely most sodas. Okay, I know soda, feels good, especially after a heavy meal, like a Thumbs Up or a Coke or something like that. But I'd really strongly advise you stop it. For those of us who live in the West, a lot of coffee is it's sold at fast food like McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, any sort of major big gas station you go to, like Racetrack or Pilot, depending on where you live. There's also Wawa near my area. Or like there's like Sheets, I think, in the North States. Stop anything that's somewhat processed or hybridized. Okay, I would recommend. This also includes most of the stuff out of a bag. Okay, I know a lot of people in India, when they have, especially tea, they grow it either locally or sometimes they even grow it in their own farm in the backyard. That's fine. A lot of I actually don't really drink any tea or coffee. Okay, the only real time I drink tea is in India, and if like I know that this person pretty much grew everything themselves, to make the cha. Okay, including the milk. It's so good and it's so pure. Sometimes once in a while I just appreciate it, but I'm not drinking it every day. Okay, this is like a once a week thing for like a month when I go to India, which happens like every 2 or 3 years. Okay, so you want to avoid, like I said, anything that's processed or hybridized. Definitely want to cut out. Okay, if you're drinking somehow some natural tea or coffee, for those of us who live in India, like you're growing your own stuff or you're buying it very locally. Like I said, in moderation it's okay, but anything like I said processed, you want to throw it out. Okay. Secondly, the one thing I'm going to want to recommend to you is I'm going to kind of want to tie in the moderation and depression points I just made to this next point, which is don't follow the crowd. Okay. I know a lot of people are into their coffee, right? In the East, everyone and their mother drinks coffee or tea like all the time. And by when I mean all the time, I literally mean like all the time, like afternoon, morning, whatever. And for those of us who live more in the Western Hemisphere, a lot of us like to drink coffee, before work or before school or something like that, just to kind of give you, an energy boost. Or also, what's kind of been picking up, at least what I've been noticing recently to my early 20s, is, after a night out, if you go out to drink or something like that, it's like a big deal now to like drink. It's like a thing now to drink coffee the next morning. Okay, whoever you went out with, just get coffee the next morning, which is kind of like double the harm if you want to think about it, because you just shove down your anxiety the night before with alcohol, and then you just shoving down your depression the next morning with coffee. Okay, but even for those of us who live in India or something like that, okay, I'm not saying you got to stop all your coffee and tea permanently 100%. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying just be aware of any depression you might have, and be aware of how the coffee makes you feel during and after and before drinking, in comparison to your depression. Okay, kind of notice and be aware, because without awareness you can't do anything. Okay, you can try, but it's not going to last long. Okay, you really need to develop that awareness in order to really make the long-term change in your habits. So just whenever you're about to do something, just be aware. Okay, especially with this coffee, since the video is about coffee. Am I feeling a little bit depressed, and am I trying to kind of shove that down? Okay, with this coffee. Okay, either shove down the depression to get something done, or just to do anything like socially or academically, whatever. Okay, depression or any sort of this. You watch my depression video if you need more information on depression. But any sort of sad feeling or something, you shouldn't try to stuff it down. Okay, we shouldn't get too attached to our emotions and our thoughts that much, because if we do, we become a slave to the mind and the ego. Okay, so just kind of pointing that out there. So I covered this. Okay, now before I get to this, I'm gonna cover this real quickly. Some immediate effects right after coffee is obviously after stopping coffee or any sort of stimulating drink. And these stimulating drinks could be like I said, soda, but it could also be like those 5-hour energies, or like Monster, or like any of those drinks. Even I would even throw like Gatorade or sports drinks in this category. Okay, or even any sort of really artificial sugary drink, I'd also kind of throw in this category. Okay, of stimulating drinks. So this is stimulating you. It's just giving you that quick thing to shove down your depression. Okay, but immediate effects of kind of stopping all this stuff is going to be, you could feel a little bit tired afterwards, and a little bit of some kind of short-term depression. The reason this happens is because you were so used to shoving this down that a little bit of it is built up, and it's got to come out. Okay, I'd strongly recommend that you just let it come out, and afterwards you'll feel so much more better and rejuvenated permanently and in the long run. Okay, also tiredness, because from a physical standpoint, your body's so used to getting these drugs like caffeine and all the sugar and stuff like this, so you're gonna feel some sort of tiredness. Okay, because your body has built up it's gotten used to all this stuff. So when it's not used to it, like when it's used to it and it's not getting it anymore, it obviously has to adapt a little bit. Okay, which I'd strongly recommend that you rip off the Band-Aid and let yourself adapt. Okay, don't just keep doing it just because it feels good or because everyone else is doing it. Okay, before I get to this, let me cover this. One is the lower 3 chakras. Okay, so if you haven't watched my lower 3 chakras video, I strongly recommend you do that. But basically, it's the theory that I kind of made up by myself that kind of makes sense to me. That any sort of, I guess you can say, addiction or any sort of problem in your life, it's gonna stem from one of the 3 lower chakras. Okay, so the 3 lower chakras are your earth chakra, your water, and your fire. So that means anything, then these are your lower self. So any sort of problem you have has some sort of tie to either your earth chakra, which is your physical, your water, which is your emotional, and your fire, which is more your mental ego, kind of, you can say. So how does coffee connect to this? Well, obviously, or any stimulating drink. Obviously, we know that we need to understand how it connects these three chakras so we understand how to detach if we want to, right? So the bottom one, the earth, we know that these stimulating drinks is obviously something that our taste buds are very used to, okay? So we need to identify and be aware of that to detach from that. Because if we don't, we're gonna cave, right? Also, it feels good throughout the rest of our body, like a cold soda or a hot coffee, it feels good in your body, right? So we need to detach from that. Also, emotionally, the water chakra, when we're getting all the sugar or we're getting all this caffeine and stuff like that, we understand that we're releasing certain emotions that we might have stored down or that we might have conditioned ourselves to store down, okay? So we need to understand that element as well and understand, okay, how can we naturally start expressing the emotions and stuff that we should be expressing so that we don't have to rely on coffee or any stimulating drinks to do this going forward, okay? Because our body is so used to this, it's causing such trauma to our body that we're like, okay, we need to save up our emotions for when we do this. But when we stop doing this, we need to start healthily expressing those emotions that we naturally stuff down so that it doesn't cause some kind of problems. Also, the ego, the fire chakra, okay? We need to understand that some things happen. When we drink coffee or any stimulating drinks, we're able to do stuff more, right? Like we're able to work or we're able to play sports with Gatorade or 5-Hour Energy or whatever we're drinking. Or soda, we're able to just be more hyper and stuff like that. So our ego likes to be hyper, right? Likes to do stuff, okay? It doesn't like to just, meditate at times. Although sometimes you need to do stuff and sometimes you need to relax, but it doesn't really like to relax. Always likes to be stimulated and stuff like that. So we need to understand that about the ego and detach from that element as well, okay? We need to identify all three of those, and there might be some aspects of those three chakras that I did not cover in this very short general video, but that I would encourage you to use meditation and stuff like that to become aware of it on your own, and so you can detach more from a more personal level for yourself, okay? So that's kind of how it connects to the lower three chakras here. And lastly, so I already covered the moderation thing, but I also covered that, okay, yeah, I do understand that there are some natural teas and coffees, okay? I do understand this, and that especially the natural stuff, it's, in my opinion, I think it's okay to consume this in moderation. But any sort of addiction that, somehow fuels these lower three chakras, we need to question how this is affecting our spirituality, okay? If this is your goal. If this is not your goal, you can forget everything I just said, okay? You can keep doing what everybody else is doing, and that's fine. But, and I'm not telling you, hey, start judging everyone that drinks coffee and stuff. I'm not saying any of this, okay? I'm just saying, just be aware of the drinks you're consuming, even alcohol. I mean, I know I didn't cover alcohol in this video because I did in the other video, but just be aware of the drinks you're consuming, okay? What kind of garbage is inside, okay? And do you really want to be putting this garbage in your body? And even if it's natural, just because everyone else is doing it, we're going to want to do it in moderation, because if it's activating our lower three chakras, we know that it's hindering our spiritual evolution, so that we don't want to do it. And don't be afraid of the immediate effects that you could face going afterwards when you stop, because these are more just temporary, and in the long run it's going to make things better. And if you don't stop, it's going to continually make your depression and stuff worse, okay? We all have slight depression feelings that is going to constantly get worse if we continue drinking coffee or tea or something like that, okay? I know it's hard, okay, to do all this, especially to follow the crowd thing. One thing I want to connect with the fire chakra. Fire represents our ego, right? So our ego's gonna kind of take a hit if we're doing something that no one else is doing, okay? Trust me, I can speak from experience, especially making these YouTube videos and stuff like that. Almost no one I know is doing what I do, and I get all sorts of judgments and opinions, but that's fine. We just need to detach from the lower three chakras, okay? That's kind of what's making us hold on to the judgment and approval and validation of other people, okay? Also, one quick note I want to make. Obviously, tea, in my opinion, is a little bit more natural than coffee, okay? Tea, especially when it's natural, like you're picking the tea leaves yourself and stuff like this, it's really natural. It could obviously even be beneficial. It could actually even be beneficial in moderation, okay? In moderation. But like I said, if you're building up an addiction or a habit of drinking this too much, it's still gonna be bad. And coffee, you want to take it even less moderation. Okay, I get coffee is a natural bean from the ground. Even let's just say it's not processed. Let's just say you're getting it fresh from a farm or something like this. I get it's natural and stuff like that. But coffee, it's usually fermented in order to make the coffee. And fermentation, I don't know if you know, but a similar process is used to make alcohol, obviously, right? Like you ferment to make wine or beer, you ferment something to make it. Any sort of fermentation, it's kind of going to lower, from a spiritual level, it's going to lower the energy of the food, okay? And when you put that inside you, it's not going to be good, okay? Think about it. Something that's fermented, anything that's fermented, whether it's something to make alcohol or something to make coffee, which is caffeine, which is also why it's considered a drug. When you're fermenting something and intaking that in such high doses, especially very frequently, it doesn't really make sense from a spiritual level to consume this sort of negative energy, because when you ferment something, it lowers the energy. So drinking so much of this is not going to be good, whether it's alcohol or coffee, okay, even if it's the most natural fermentation style possible, okay? And just to give you a quick example, yeah, sure, everyone in India drinks coffee, right? But there's, some countries where even like rural villages where they're making, alcohol fresh on the farm every day. They're fermenting that thing. There's villages where they're making alcohol fresh, okay, and it's it's fermented straight from ingredients from their farm, but that doesn't make it any more spiritually better from a spiritual perspective, in my opinion. Okay, so the same thing with coffee. Even if you're getting the most natural coffee possible, would strongly recommend you to stay away from it, or at least take it in extreme moderation, just because of that fermentation aspect of it. Okay, I get coffee is naturally coming from the earth and stuff like that, and God did give us this stuff for a reason, and we should take it in moderation at certain times, but definitely, in my opinion, shouldn't be a daily thing. And tea, I understand natural teas are a little bit more healthier and stuff like that, but still, we want to take it in a little bit of moderation, okay, and not build up an addiction or a habit to have it, the way you need it so much of the time, okay? Or else, like I said, we're kind of getting too attached to these lower 3 chakra energies, and which in my opinion is not good, okay? So this is my video on stopping coffee, soda, or any stimulating drink, okay? If you have any questions or comments, let me know. And until next time, talk to you guys later. Thank you very much.